Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our evening tribute to the great, wonderful Rick Wilkins.
I'm Catherine Wilson, the pianist and artistic director of Ensemble Vivant. I'm honored and so fortunate to make music with the wonderful musicians in this group: Corey Gemmell, Sybil Shanahan, Norman Hathaway, and Jim Vivian. The opportunity for so much beautiful music making in Ensemble Vivant has truly made us a musical family. It's a great privilege that we are joined on stage tonight by our esteemed friends Guido Basso, Brian Barlow, and Mike Murley. For close to 3 decades, Rick Wilkins and Ensemble Vivant have enjoyed a rich musical collaboration. From the outset, he championed our music making and diverse range of genres and styles that this piano chamber group has always performed. We're thrilled to welcome the capacity audience here tonight to share this evening with us as Ensemble Vivant and our special guests pay tribute to Canadian music icon, Order of Canada recipient, and close friend, Rick Wilkins. Whether it's writing a standard by George Gershwin or a rag by Scott Joplin or a fugue by J.S. Bach, Rick's writing is tasteful, imaginative, and simply brilliant.
People come up to us and say, "Oh, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." And it's like that all across the board with all of his arrangements. They just play themselves. It doesn't matter what the genre is. They're all wonderful.
It's always tasteful, it's always challenging, because of Rick's incredible wealth of musical genres, adaptability, and just sheer imagination. We could probably put on 4 or 5 concerts like this of Rick's charts and probably still have a few left for encores.
Ensemble Vivant back in the early days was a pioneer in that they brought in different genres and styles of music into the standard classical format to create a very diversified program.
And it's always different, there's always something new, the repertoire keeps on growing.
The music was always performed at a very high level, world-class level. It's a very exciting and continues to be an innovative and exciting musical ensemble.
The tradition of these diverse genres is a love, and it's something we've been doing since the group was founded 30 years ago. It's beautiful repertoire, and it ranges from the classical through to the various jazz styles, ragtime to Latin, and all kinds of things in between.
That made for something interesting, unusual, and exciting in the concert world.
There's a tremendous amount of spontaneity and a lot of humor. It just evolves, it just happens, and It's something that makes the whole group relax, but it also is something that the audience is immediately onto. They love the camaraderie that we have among ourselves, but also we share that with them in a very sincerely warm and engaging way. And so it's really an experience that is united us and the audience. The group is alive. The musical styles that we perform are a tremendous amount of fun for us, but a lot of work. For me, it's all been a labor of love. You have to be excited by a piece, doesn't matter what the genre is. And the more you perform repertoire, let's say in our case outside of the classical, the more kind of in that groove you become.
We play off each other. That's what makes chamber music so fun. Everyone brings a little bit of different flavor. That's what makes the music interesting, is the individuality.
Ensemble Vivant can play pretty well any style that they're proficient in, including great classical music, ragtime, Latin, and the great American songbook in a wonderful expert style. Quite a diverse selection of material. I think anybody who's kind of into music will find something they can grab onto. When Ensemble Vivant performs, you can see the standing ovations they get, that people are just kind of rapt and they're kind of caught up, and the audience are really engaged, and you can see it in their reaction.
Doesn't matter the genre we're performing, we bring something to everybody. They feel the depth of the music. The biggest reward is knowing that you're giving so much to your listeners. It's all ages, and it doesn't matter where you're performing, and they're excited. They've been given a lasting gift.
Whatever the genre, there's always magic that Catherine Wilson and Ensemble Vivant bring to their performance.
You know, I love working with other musicians. The ideas we exchange, the fun we have, it's family to me. Every concert we have, it's a mixture of combinations of instruments. We mix it up, and it depends on the repertoire and the arrangement that's been conceived, and there's another added color and dimension.
Catherine is an exquisitely sensitive pianist with a touch that few pianists have. And she immerses herself into it and expresses her deep emotion.
When I heard her play, I kind of heard a wonderful sensitivity, kind of a lyrical, poetic way of playing the piano. It kind of sang to me.
Catherine also approaches everything from the heart. She can pull the most rich and varied sound of color and touch. It's quite a level of artistry that's rare.
Well, I think what separates Catherine from a lot of other pianists, I think, is just her range. Who can rattle off the toughest classical and yet have the sensitivity to get into some lovely Gershwin ballads. She's just an engaging performer. She's just a wonderful person. So I've had a long and amiable relationship with Catherine Wilson and Ensemble Vivant for 25 to 30 years, and it's been a blast all that time. Well, working with Catherine all these years has never been about kind of the business part of it. It's always been about how can we make music and have fun doing that. I know she kind of came from a tough background, and she always seemed to rise above that and aspire to make some good music.
Music has been a life savior. I think it goes back to my grade school and being part of a community band. Coming from a background that was ridden with strife, the band allowed me to feel like I was part of something and that I had a really meaningful purpose. It just set the stage for what became my life.
I think we were always on the same chord with that, and just trying to look into the music and make things better, and try and make music better for both of us and for other people who are going to listen to it. And I think we've achieved that. When I was growing up, I was kind of a wannabe hockey player, baseball player, and I was never good enough. I was not strong enough, fast enough. But one time, I was invited to play the piano at one of the Christmas concerts. And after I played the piano, all these kids who I admired, who were the great sports guys, geez, I can't believe you could do that. And actually, I had a speedy muffler drive moment. I was a somebody. And so I think that kind of encouraged me to kind of go on.
There aren't very many people like Rick Wilkins who can write in so many different genres, whether he's writing string parts for Anne Marie, marvelous big band chart for the Boss Brass, or the music we're hearing this evening. I think it's just, it's extraordinary.
My God, I've known Rick since the early 60s when I came to Toronto and started working at the CBC. And he was the chief arranger at that time. I mean, he's a tremendous genius and a great gift, and I'm glad to be a friend of his. Rick, I love you.
He was a big influence on me. He played hockey the same way he does music. Everything was perfect. Perfect passes, and a team player. He's a real craftsman, and he's an artist, and it's always been a privilege to work with him. So thank you, Rick.
My first encounter happened when I was at the tender age of 13. One evening there was this music special on the CBC featuring the group Nimmons and 9+6. The tenor saxophone solo just totally captured my imagination, and I listened to it over and over again for months. And the soloist's name was Rick Wilkins. Thank you, Rick, for your friendship and your inspiration, and helping me find my way from that distant place out on the prairie to become the musician that I am.
I grew up mostly in symphony orchestras, so I got used to playing with conductors. And Rick was conducting, and after about 4 bars, everything fell apart, and he said something that I'll never forget. He looked at everybody and he said, "I'm not sure who you've worked with before, and frankly, I don't really care. When the stick goes, that's the beat." And I went, "This is the coolest guy I've ever encountered."
very meaningful and rich musical collaboration and friendship with Rick Wilkins. I used to go to hear him in performance with the Boss Brass or with his quartet, and when I finally got up the nerve to approach Rick about writing arrangements for my group, I was just so thrilled.
I think it was probably a telephone call back in the late 80s or early 90s. I guess she'd heard that I was an arranger and wanted to have me write an arrangement. So we got together. She played me some of her recordings.
The first thing that I gave him to hear was the group's first recording, Palm Court Pleasures, and on that he heard us go from classical to ragtime to Gershwin to tango.
In order to jump from different styles, I mean, you have to immerse yourself in those styles, and I think all these different abilities kind of just made for a more interesting pianist, and it was kind of fun to enjoy that side of her.
He just loved the range of styles, and he was delighted, and so we never looked back. Rick will hear a piece on the radio and say, "Oh, Catherine has to hear this piece." And he'd phone me and say, "Come on over." And so he would always had the ideas percolating, and something would inspire him.
It's usually a collaborative effort. We both have to want to be doing the same kind of thing, I think, for it to be successful. There's kind of a back and forth, You've tried it 10 times and you say, well, I think this is best. What I like about working with EV is just it takes me out of my normal jazz studio approach to writing, and it gives me another area of music to get into. It kind of makes me stretch a bit.
He puts his all into it, and his arrangements are musical creations on their own.
Rick Wilkins is perhaps one of the most modest, brilliant people I've ever met. He's able to filter things down to the real essence and express it beautifully.
There's so many arrangements that Rick alone has written for us.
And it's overall beneficial to have a direct involvement with the composer or the arranger. They can interact with us and we interact with them.
Eventually, when it gets down to the recording of it or the concert, I'm quite happy with what they come with. It's just, remarkable, the transition. It's always rewarding just to hear some people take it off the page, and sometimes they take it off the page in ways that you hadn't even thought of.
There's really only one thing to do, and that is to invite the man himself up to say a few words. Rick, would you come up and say hello?
Thanks, everybody. A while ago, I thought my 15 minutes was up, But I think Catherine had another idea, and she decided to put this concert on, and I'm grateful for that. But I must thank Catherine and her band, Ensemble Vivant, for putting this together, and such lovely playing and that. And thank you for showing up here. I mean, it's my family's here, and there's a lot of people come from very far to get here, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I want to have a glass of wine pretty soon, so I better let Catherine play the last number. So thanks again. The purpose of music is to create and also to pass that creation on to your listener.
It's really an experience you're giving so much, and I think with music making, it is all about that.
It's uniquely human experience, pure expression.
There's a tremendous amount of spontaneity. It just happens, and the audience, they're laughing, they're happy.
And you keep trying to improve, even at this age. I'm 80 now. I'm still listening to music. I'm still trying to figure it out.
We do it because we love it, and it's always different. There's always something new.
I can honestly say I can't imagine doing anything else.
It makes a difference. I don't think there could be anything more important than knowing you're having that effect. It's all about the music, and it's all about the music making.
What a wonderful show. I've seen Ensemble Vivant 3 times now in the last 2 years, and it's just magic.
Just to hear all those fabulous musicians on stage was a real treat and a real honor for me. The arrangements were, top notch. That's the kind of stuff you don't really hear anymore. So to be able to come here and hear it tonight at this fabulous church was a beautiful evening.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I was really, really knocked out.
Excellent.
It's fantastic.
What a great body of work he's done in his career. And I'd like to see more Rick Wilkins concerts with Ensemble Vivant. They're really great.
This is a great tribute to somebody that's still living rather than waiting. Rick has been a friend and a colleague for many, many years, and I'm just so glad I got a chance to be here tonight.
It was a great show. Intellectually challenging, emotionally moving. It was great. And it was for a great guy.
Fantastic players.
We are absolutely in awe. It was like swimming into the music. It was so amazing.
All the work that Rick has done, and he's so sotto voce. It was perfect.
The scope of his work, the mastery of so many styles, and his technical command of orchestration, everything is really astounding.
He is one of the most important people we have in this country. He's one of the greatest arrangers in the world. He's internationally known. Rick Wilkins is a famous person, and to have this kind of a tribute to him tonight is extremely appropriate.
It's a labor of love to have had this tribute for the wonderful, incomparable Rick Wilkins. And so I'm just so happy how happy we had the chance to do that. It just means everything to me.
Oh, man, I was actually astounded there, that everybody showed up there and the orchestra played so well with Catherine's group, and a little overwhelming and all that, but I really enjoyed it and see so many of my friends, and it was terrific.